Hello, welcome to Keep Teaching and Stay Connected with an LMS or Learning Management System. This is March 25th. I'm on self-quarantine day 11 here in Ohio, but the governor just started um, lockdown on Monday. So this is for those folks who are teaching, especially those who are working for churches or other organizations that do not have any digital systems at all that you're using to teach, and you're trying to stay open, but you just don't have the tools yet. This is a repeat of a webinar or a live workshop I did with the Literacy Cooperative many years ago, which I've updated with the current tools for you. So who am I? There you go. I'm Megan Farrell. I'm in Northeast Ohio. I worked for many years in the field of adult basic education, first as a tutor and teacher, and then for about 10 years doing training for other teachers. So I've written books with um, New Readers Press and traveled around the country doing those workshops. Posted on YouTube. I've worked with Essential Education, another adult education publisher, as their national teacher trainer, and created professional development courses and some books for them, and have also created some other programs. So basically just letting you know that I spent 10 years helping adult educators either start using technology, incorporating technology to their program, preparing their students for either web-based learning or computer-based testing. So I've helped a lot of people do this successfully. And trust me, people don't do it until they have to. But a couple years ago, I decided to transition from adult education to religious education. Now I make stuff like you can see on the screen, and my new organization is Mustard Seed Training, but I still have a toe in adult education. So I'm also working very closely with churches who I know are very overwhelmed with this possibility. Just like in 2014, when adult education went to computer-based testing and everyone's freaking out. Now it's 2020, and churches that do not use technology to communicate with their members are suddenly finding they're trying to keep the community alive, even though they can't meet in person. So I have some help for you today. I want to give you a little bit of a taste about what technology can do to keep you up and running. And specifically, I want to advocate for using what's called a learning management system, or LMS. We're going to take a quick look at some of the LMS tools out there and give you some questions to think about, some features to think about when deciding which one is best for you. And then your next step is then to develop a plan for how to make that decision and implement it in your setting. So I'm going to put all of this up on my blog at blog.mustseed.org. So go there to get links to all of these sites, and I will have the PowerPoint up for you to download, and also a copy of this video. So what does it mean to do this? How do we get started? Big picture, we are in a new age in the world of humans. And I'm not going to harp on this too much, but in 1952, we created digital storage. And that really is a new age for human beings, as big as when we started writing. And now we have history. We can look back and we can find things from other humans that have been recorded in our scriptures, right? Come from that period. And digital storage is going to be as big of a shift in how humans interact, how they store information, how we look at ourselves moving forward, and what we can know about the past, and how we connect with each other. So we are living in a new age of human beings. How do we adapt to this move? specifically, especially as churches who mostly meet face to face and have pre-digital conversations. So the first step is digital communication. Maybe you already have some of these things in place, and this isn't going to be the big focus of my presentation, but I just want to show you some options for emailing and texting is one way to keep in touch with individuals. Things like Flocknote, Text in Church, MailChimp, Constant Contact, Remind, and G Suite for nonprofits. These are all options for emailing and texting. And then, of course, we have social media. You can have an app that's specific to your church that people can use to communicate with each other or communicate with the office to do their giving, or you can use existing social media applications to just keep in touch with people. So I am not advocating using that if you are doing classes, Sunday school, if you do new member classes, maybe you do baptism classes, anything like that. You need something more than just talking back and forth with individuals or even social media groups and giving if you're going to actually teach through these digital tools. So those kind of tools are called learning management systems. So what is a learning management system? You can also, if you're going to use, this is the term you should use if you're going to go into Google and search for these things or whatever your preferred search engine is. You can also use course management systems. Enterprise social network is another word we use. What it means is it's a closed network. So instead of being like a social media where people come and go, you set up courses where you have a specific facilitator or teacher, you have learners, you can post assignments, you can post documents, videos, have discussion forums, but you have to log in to access it. So that's why it's closed. All right. It's usually in the cloud, meaning you can access it anywhere you have access to the internet. And individuals, instead of like texting or emailing, where say one person emails out, everybody gets the same exact thing. Instead, users have to actually log in some way or go open up the app or do something individually to access the system and see their course and their content. What this does for you, what a learning management system does for you, is every time that person goes to that app or logs into that website or whatever they do to access the learning management system, that's collecting data. So it tells you, Johnny logged in on Wednesday at 8 o'clock and was on for 30 minutes and opened this and watched that and turned this in. And Susie over here logged in Thursday morning at 9 a.m. for an hour and did this, this, this. So, so not only do students or your church members or families, whoever's participating, go on to this learning management system to learn, but also while they're doing that, it's giving you feedback about what they've done so that you can see that. That's what that data collection means. They're collecting data so you can see it. All right, so when you're deciding which learning management system you want, first you have to start with, well, what do you need to know? You know, do you need to know how many users you have, how many members you have, your enrollment, how often do they come in, you know, what have they finished? Do you want to have discussion forums? Some of them have ways for the administrator to kind of blast everybody in a school, others don't. Some have video is really easy to use. Some are not, you know, some have different tiers. So you have to think about what do I need and the folks in my organization need to be able to do with this to decide which one I want. How much does it cost? And I've divided up the cost for you so you can see like what's free, what's an upgrade, what's paid. Um, the big thing to think about, if you're only going to be doing this for the 2 months or whatever it is that we're in lockdown, use a free option and then scrap it later. But if you think at all that you might be using this for the long term, that when you get back to face to face, you might add this side by side. You might have the digital and the face to face together in the future. Then you might want to start thinking about, well, what would it be worth to pay for? What features would make it worth it? What would really help us improve the program? The number one thing to consider as we look at this stuff is, how easy is it for you? What kind of folks are you dealing with here? So I hope as I was reading this, you're thinking about what is my personal list? And you can even pause this video right now. Before I get to showing you what is out there, what do you need? What do you need to write down, report, what you need to do, and what's your budget as we move forward? All right, so I'm going to pull up the websites here for each of these. I have 3 categories. We have our free options. All right, Moodle is the #1 free learning management system in the world. And because it's free and it's been around so long, it's used by like everybody. I have not used Moodle recently, but I know it can be something that you download and you host on your server or wherever, and then people have to log in. But there's also an app now you can use. So there's so many options when it comes to Moodle. All the options that are available with Moodle also can make it confusing. So if you're not a tech savvy person, you know, Moodle might be a little more difficult, but it is #1 in the world. Edmodo is one of my favorites because it was set up to look like a social media network, old school Facebook. So I find this really easy to use, and you kind of create groups where folks log in, and you also can set it up where you have different levels. You have your church or whatever would be a school. You can set up things for students and parents, so it has that kid orientation to it. Also, Google Classroom is another extremely popular one, and our local school district uses Google Classroom. So if you are working with, your local schools also use this. This is a good option for you because then your folks will be familiar with how to use it. But you do have to kind of try to sign up as a school to get access to Google Classroom. Otherwise, you can use what's called G Suite for nonprofits. All right, so our next category here is what's called Freemium. So it has a free level, but then it also has a premium level. So it has features that you can pay for as you go along. And if you think at all that you are going to use this for the long term, not just now while we're in lockdown, but if this works out for you, don't waste your time setting all this stuff up and then 2 months from now shut it all down. People, if it really helps people stay connected outside of the hour or 2 a week that you meet or whatever, then you may want to look at these freemium options. Start with the free, see if it works, and if it does, maybe upgrade. So Open edX is, I chose this one first because as it has its features here, it kind of also explains for you what an LMS is. So an LMS allows instructors or teachers to go in, create a course, and within that they can create a discussion board for specific, so people can still talk to each other, manage teams and cohorts. So cohorts are, a group of people that start at the same time with something. So you can have your Sunday school third and fourth grade class, and the same instructor can have another course with their new member class that they do, or their baptism class, whatever. They can do grades, which hopefully in a church you don't give grades, but and then there's different ways to communicate with people. When learners log in, they can check what they're enrolled in. So you can have one person who's a member of your church, and maybe they want to do, this Bible study that meets on Thursday, and they also, go to this baptism class or whatever. They can enroll in multiple things, and um, this, and then so that's in general what a learning management system can do. And then Open edX specifically allows you to create degree programs or branding. You can create schedules, collaboration tools, like people can create documents together or presentations together, that sort of thing. So those are some of the other features that edX provides. Teachable is another freemium option. You can, Teachable is really designed for people who pay for courses. So they make money as teachers. So if you are providing free classes, then you have a free account with Teachable. So how Teachable makes their money is people going on their system to sell courses. And so if you're never going to sell courses, this is a great option for you. The one thing that I find Teachable is really, really helpful with is if you want to, if you have classes or courses that you do multiple times, you can duplicate courses on Teachable. That's one of the neat features they have. And it's also really visual. They're really designed to be beautiful because, again, they're focused on selling. And then, their learning tools, they really focus a lot on video. So you can see if you upload a video to their site, you can see how much people watched. Did they watch the video? How much did they watch? How much of the course have they completed? That sort of thing. So, and you can also connect it to other things that you use. All right, freemium. The other freemium option here is Canvas. Canvas is extremely popular for higher education. So, and they're showing you some K-12, but Canvas is nice because it's free for teachers. So if you have if you want to tell all your teachers to go in and create their own course, it's free for them to use. The point at which you pay for it is if you, as an administrator, wants to see and manage multiple courses. That's where you start paying for it, and that's when you start getting your reports back, and you can see, okay, in Christine's class has 10 kids in it, and 8 of them logged in on this week, and da 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 da. And then, Liz's class has, 15 kids, and, they're 3 years old, so only 5 of them logged in. So, excuse me, and that's why I'm not leaving the house, because I'm coughing. All right, so Canvas, very popular for higher ed. If you're working with teens or adults, mostly Canvas is the one for you. Absorb is very into creating a social learning experience. So they really want to bring in people, make it, they have polls and they have leaderboards and news articles. So this is great if you really want to build that sense of community and that social connection. Absorb is maybe the system for you. And then we get into the paid. And well, the reason I have paid in here is because, you know, if this again is something that you're going to want to do long term, it can often be worth it to pay for a system. The first one, Easy LCMS, is rated over and over again as the reason it's called easy is because it's the most user friendly. It's really simple. So if you have up to 100 people, it's $200 a month. So it's really just about how many people are on the system. But check out their easy to use system, Easy LCMS. Litmus is has some great solutions for I found this under solutions for nonprofits. What's interesting about what Litmus uses, I include them because they are also considered very user friendly. But in addition to having a learning management system, they also have off-the-shelf content. So you can actually go in there and pull things. So if you want to do staff training on top of, or member training on top of what, you know, is provided, and on top of what you facilitate and you create yourself, this is a really great system. You don't have to create it from scratch. It's there for you. I included Schoology because I am in the Diocese of Youngstown in Ohio. This is what our diocese uses for their online book studies and courses, so it's familiar to folks. And it also has a very kind of clean system that has really everything you could ask for out of a learning management system. And if you are at all visual and like uploading photos and stuff, this is the one for you. And finally, Dokios. The reason I include Dokios is because it has a ton of the features that you would include in a paid system, and it's only 50 cents per user. So if you're a small organization or group, then this may be, you know, the more affordable way for you to go. And then also you can scale up. So with only 50 cents a month or 50 cents per user per month. And then, you know, if you don't have as many people other parts of the year, then, you know, you log them off, you delete their accounts, and you don't have to pay for them. So that helps a lot too. All right, so those are some of our learning options. What are you going to do with this information? The big thing to think about once you're ready, you've explored some things and you are thinking about how to implement it. There's a few additional things I want to put in your brain. One is to think about when you're switching to a digital system instead of a face-to-face system, this is not just about taking exactly what you've done and putting it online. That's step one, but it also is an opportunity for you to think about, you know, what does it really mean to finish a course? You know, what does it really mean to have somebody say, yes, I'm ready to be baptized? What does it really mean to have somebody have finished a Bible study? What are your goals for that? You know, if you have a retreat or you do a social justice activity and you want people to not just do the activity, but reflect on the activity, you know, you can really find out what individuals think about things in an online system because each individual has to actually do it. As opposed to face, a lot of times, you know, people are just sitting there and they're very passive and you don't know what they really think or what they really know or what they really do. So that's an added benefit of a learning management system, but just just put that bug in your ear. This could be an opportunity to get to know your individuals better and how engaged they really are. And the other part of this is that, there's a reason that I moved to religious ed. There's a reason that churches are largely so face-to-face still today, and that's because people do still learn best in groups. We're still social, okay? So even though you have these digital options, that doesn't mean you want to ignore that social aspect of it. So learning digitally allows people to have options about when and where they are when they engage, but um, you really uh, you still want to make sure that people have that social component, that they get to know each other, that they feel a part of a group, even though they're physically separate from each other. So to do that, I really recommend that even if you're doing things online, that you schedule even digital live events. That really is the best way you can maintain those social connections. And the other thing to do is, make sure that your folks who are teaching or facilitating in your church, that they have a commitment to still, making phone calls or sending individual texts and just maintaining an actual relationship, social individual relationship, so that the sheep don't get lost. You still keep track of everybody. So I hope you got your questions, some of your ideas out there. I hope I gave you some places to get started. And your questions moving forward are to think about the learning management systems, which ones seem most appealing to you to follow up, and then how do you want to try this out? What kind of trials do you want to do? Who do you want to talk to and bounce this off of before you make your final decision? Who's on your team? So I hope that and pray that you are staying safe and healthy, staying home, finding ways to maintain your spiritual practices at home, that the peace of Christ dwells in you richly everywhere that you are, and that where you are is at home. um, if you want to ask me any questions, feel free to email me at learn@mustseed.org. Again, this information will be up on my blog, which is blog.mustseed.org. And if you did, in this exploration, start logging into things, I just always end with a reminder to sign out, especially if you're in a public setting, which you're at home, so that doesn't matter. But, maintain the safety, digital safety, and make sure you log out, especially if you go to public places, and maintain passwords to protect your identity out there. Because even though there's great things with technology, it is kind of the wild, wild west on the internet sometimes. So be safe digitally as much as you are staying home to keep all of us safe from coronavirus. God bless you. Best of luck. And please, again, feel free. I would love if you would email me and let me know, if any of this was helpful to you. If you are confused, just reach out. Thank you, and keep up the wonderful ministry.